Hi YouTube. If you don't know me, I'm Sizak, a top player in the multiplayer community. I've reached number 2 in the leaderboard multiple times, haven't ever quite hit number 1, but I've gotten close. And I wanted to make a guide video on specifically, for now, the early game in multiplayer, mainly focused on white stakes, and will mostly apply to higher stakes as well. But I want to make a guide on how to do well in the early game, because honestly, I feel like probably 50% or so of games are won or lost in the first 2 antes. It's those early game decisions that snowball so much into what the rest of the game is about. If you're, if you got some card early that your opponent doesn't, you start copying it, that can win you the game. If you end up being a couple rerolls ahead in the shop, like even maybe 3 or 4 rolls ahead in the shop can just be impossible to catch up on, because once you have a lot of money in the future, suddenly rerolls start getting more and more expensive, and so there's like diminishing returns in how far you can get ahead. So if you can start really getting ahead early, you can just take the game, and that's, really honestly what it comes down to a lot of times. So I'm going to go through the first 2 antes in a single player game, which is, basically the same since we're not going to the PvP anyways. And I'm going to talk about the 5 tips that I think are some of the most important things you can do to do better in the early game, to get that early lead that can just determine the game. So the first tip here is that it is extremely important to get out of the first blind in 1. Okay. You can end up winning or losing the game because of that $1 extra from the extra hand, such as if there's a blueprint or a brainstorm in the first shop, that's $10 to get out if you get out in 1, less if you don't. But even, not something as extreme as that, sometimes just having the extra bit of money is enough to get you, an extra econ joker, the boom pack you need, can easily determine the game. So what you want to go for almost always is the flush. You can see there's a straight right here that doesn't get out in 1. We're going to straight up ignore that. We're going to go for the most likely flush to get us out. So you do need kind of high numbers. So, I mean, obviously spades, just so we have the most of it anyways. As you can see, I'm dropping this 2 here because this 2 will not give us a strong enough flush. You need to be a little bit greedy, and you especially can in red deck with 4 discards, but even on any white stake deck, I would do this, where I'm dropping some of the lower cards to look for some face cards, some upper numbered cards, because you need the numbers to add up to at least 20 in order to have the flush get out. And so as you can see here, now we've got this. We've got something that, so I'm sorry, not 20, 40. Something that I like to think of is if you've got like 2 face cards and the other 3 cards add up to 20, then you're good enough. Here, 5, 6, and 8 only add up to 19. Even if we draw a face card, that's not enough. And we're also only discarding 4 here, which we wouldn't see as much. I'm even going to discard the 5 here, trusting that, it's really important to get out in 1. We're probably going to find some more spades. We've still got the 3 discards, especially because it's red deck. We're going to be greedy, and sometimes greed is long-term the safer option. Because the thing is, even if we get unlucky, and we're kind of getting unlucky draws here, even if you get unlucky and you don't find the flush, which we did here. And see, if I hadn't have discarded that, 5 there, as you can see here, we saw some of those at the very last discard. If I hadn't have discarded that 5, we wouldn't have seen one of these cards, and we would have had the flush. Probably, we might have seen at least one of them, but the flush wouldn't have been high enough points to get out. Now this gets out in 1, okay? So, as you can see, that worked. Now, it might be tempting a lot of times to go for a full house or a straight. I would say never go for the full house, unless you're on a banded deck, because then the flushes don't usually get out because points are lower, and it's also easier to find the full house. Full house or 4 of a kind, you pretty much only go for them if you don't even go for them. You just play them if the game just gives it to you and it's enough to get out in 1, right? The straights, you can go for a straight, but only in very rare situations. Straights get out in 1 if it's queen high or higher. The only situations that I pretty much ever go for a straight to get out is if I have, well, obviously if I just have the straight, but if I have 8, 9, 10, no, sorry, not even that. If I have 9, 10, jack, queen, or if I have 10, jack, queen, king, because those are the 2 places where you can have 8 cards in your deck that you just need the 1 card and you get out, because if you got 10, jack, queen, king, you just need the ace or the 9 that you get out. If you got 9, 10, jack, queen, you just need the 8 or the king. However, if you have jack, 10, 9, 8, you need specifically the queen, because the 7 isn't enough to get out in 1. So there, I would still just push for the flush, right? You can sometimes like go for hands where it's like, okay, there's maybe a flush here, maybe a straight here, but never like discard less than 5 because you're doing that. That's just kind of like, oh, I've got like 8, 9, or I've got like 9, 10 jack of this suit and 9, 10 queen of this suit. I'd go for the 9, 10 jack because more likely to find the straight, I guess. Well, that you need the queen anyway, so you get what I'm saying. So, moving on to my second tip, I almost always, like 95% at least of the time, will buy the buffoon pack in the first shop. The first shop is guaranteed to have a buffoon pack, and you want to buy it because it's kind of like getting a reroll and a joker for $4, and most jokers cost $4 or more, and it's like a reroll as well because you're seeing 2 more jokers. So the way that the multiplayer works in ranked, if you play in the Discord, you play the ranked mode, the order is a thing that guarantees, it does a lot of things, but basically the shop is one continuous queue. Buffoon packs, the jokers in them are part of that queue. So basically whatever 2 jokers you see in here would be the next 2 jokers you see in the shop. So that's why I say it's kind of like a reroll. You see 2 cards, and they might not be jokers, but like jokers are early on at least, or more important anyway, so it's almost like better than a reroll for $1 less, and you get one of those jokers for free. So there's almost never a reason not to buy the buffoon pack. Even if there's 2 jokers that you don't want, usually you can like sell one for $2 or $3, and then you're down $1 or $2, and you move forward in the shop. Like, it's almost never a reason not to open this buffoon pack. Now, some people say you don't want to open it because you're worried about getting buffoon packed, as people say. So if these 2 were both very important jokers, say I had a blueprint and an ancient joker right here, right? If they're 2 very important jokers, you only get one of them, and your opponent, if they don't open the buffoon pack, will see them both later in the shop. Now, I recognize that you can lose a game to that. It's happened. It's maybe happened to me. I know it's happened to others, but it is incredibly rare. And I think that people worry about it too much because you remember the times when you lose to it. You never realize the times where those little bits of value from opening the buffoon pack, and it's not even that little, it's like a decent amount of value, but it's not very recognizable where how much ahead this gets you in the shop. Now, you could maybe make an argument for not opening jumbo buffoon packs. Those are the $6 ones where you choose 1 and 4. Even those, I pretty much always open those. I really think that the concern about getting buffoon packed is overblown. It's something that sucks, but it's not worth playing around almost ever, I don't think. So, you take the first buffoon pack, even though didn't really get anything out of it. We don't want Madness. Madness is not good in white stake. Neither was the other Joker. This still, we sell it for $3. We lost $1, and we're 2 jokers ahead in the shop. Now, whatever we see next, instead of wasting a useless shop with Madness and Flashcard, now we'll get 2 more jokers that maybe will actually be useful. Of course, here we will also take the Faceless Joker. Econ, super important early. That's good Econ Joker early. But yeah, that's it for the second tip. I'll also go to talk about the third tip while I'm here in this shop. Now, I want to talk about skipping early vouchers. Magic trick, obviously, I'm pretty sure almost no one would take this in a first ante anyways. But there's a lot of times that I see players taking vouchers like Paintbrush or like Crystal Ball or like Handy even in the first ante that I honestly would not recommend. My advice is to skip most first ante vouchers in most situations. So the only 2 vouchers that I say you want to never skip are Overstock and the reroll voucher. Those, unless it's like you take that or a blueprint, you know, something extreme on that sort of level, the amount of boost forward in econ in the shops that the reroll voucher gives you, and especially the Overstock gives you, is just, there's pretty much nothing that can beat it. Other jokers I've learned the hard way that taking an early Paintbrush is almost never worth it, right? It's a great voucher. It feels great to have your extra hand size and all that, but really most games, the $10 early, because not only it's, you know, people are like, oh, it's $10. Even if you think about interest, sometimes people are like, oh, it's only $12. Like, yeah, you're losing $2 interest. It's not just that. Not only does that interest, it's going to be probably $2 for several rounds. It adds up into other things where you might, you know, you keep that $10, you have enough money to open another buffoon pack early, or to pick up another econ joker, or to, you know, take a reroll when you need to. Usually you won't be using that money for a reroll early, but the only situation where I would say you can take something like that early is in a situation where you've got a ton of econ. Now here, because of Faceless Joker, Faceless is a really good early econ joker. You can maybe make an argument here if things go fairly well with Faceless here. Let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's a decent first hand. well, not first, but you know, if things go decently well with Faceless here and there was a more important econ joker in the shop, I would actually maybe consider going for it. But, you know, obviously Magic Trick we're not going to. I do also want to add in one other situation where I would almost always take the voucher where I learned the hard way. Nebula deck, take a first anti-crystal ball. The 1 Terra slot is too oppressive, and I made that mistake in a previous game. All right, now here we're going to get into my 4th point, which is open the Arcanas and the standard packs when you can afford them. And I don't just mean when you literally physically have enough dollars. You want to open them when it feels somewhat like comfortable and safe to do so. Now here I think I'm going to open both of these. In fact, I'm almost definitely going to open both of these. But sometimes if you don't have a decent econ joker here, whatever, you know, say you go into this shop with, you know, maybe $13, probably what we would have if we didn't have Faceless. If you go into the shop with $13, I wouldn't take both of these, I don't think. And I'd honestly consider not even taking either of them. If there wasn't an econ joker up here, like maybe you take the $4 Arcana pack because it's not that much money. If you get a devil, you can make it up in 1 round. But the Arcana packs early, like if you open it with $13 and there's a Hermit in there, you would have seen that Hermit in the next Arcana pack. And if you have, you know, you could be down like $10 or more because of interest from what your opponent has, because they open the Arcana pack when they have more money. And, well, maybe not more than it, but you know, you're down like $10 because you had a worse Hermit. And like things like Devil or Lucky cards, yes, they can get you money early, but usually it's not that much worse if you find it in like the next shop. Like sure, it'd be worth opening if there was a Devil or a Lucky here, even at lower money. But there's a chance you don't hit that, and then you're just down like $4, or even more so if it's one of the jumbos, $6. You're just down a lot of money, and if you just get a few suit changers, it's not doing that much for you early, not enough that it's worth that econ loss. Standard packs are another similar thing, where it's like, you really don't want to get behind the standard pack queue. Standard packs are more long-term thing versus the Arcana packs, but getting behind the standard pack queue, because it's all, like I said, with the order, a lot of these things become one giant queue throughout the game, where with standard packs, there is a queue for all standard packs. So it's important to get that red or purple seal early and be able to copy it, which is why you do want to get these when you can afford them, but you also don't want to get it too early where it completely screws over your econ, and then you're way behind in the main shop itself, not the standard pack queue. Here, I think we've probably got enough money, because it's not just how much money you have, but it's what jokers you have to make that money. Like here, after I opened the Arcana pack, if I didn't get any money, I was at $19. If I didn't have an econ joker, I'd be hesitant about the standard pack. But here, because we have Faceless, we can make that money back pretty quick. We might even have, you know, we might even be up to like max interest at the end of the boss fight. Not likely, but it's possible. But, you know, here, it's definitely safe to take both of these here. Now, here's where I'm going to talk about my last point. We don't even need to get to the end of this ante. So even though our money's in an okay spot and we can pretty reliably hit the interest cap, even if we do open this Jumbo Celestial, I would say that you almost never want to open the Planet Packs in multiplayer, especially early. This is very much contrary to single player, where in single player, you know, the Planet Packs, the extra scaling from these can be nice and reliable, good scoring. In multiplayer, there's 2 reasons why you don't want to open the Planet Packs early. Number 1, you're looking for something explosive. In multiplayer, you're not just getting enough to survive, you need the biggest, baddest thing. And Planet Packs, the scaling from the planets themselves is not worth the $6, especially for a jumbo here. It's just not going to be enough to be worth that amount of money that could be spent on a reroll. Could be spent on a reroll to find a very powerful joker before your opponent does, that could double or triple or, you know, times 100 your score based on, you know, how things eventually get later in the game in the multiplayer games. The Planet Pack's not going to be enough. The only situation where it's maybe worth it is later on, like recently after you've unlocked like Flush House or Flush 5 is like your really big hand. And that's the other reason I was going to say to not open it early. You don't even have Flush House or Flush 5 unlocked yet. Unless you end up on a high card build, that's probably going to be your hand. It's probably either going to be Flush House or Flush 5 long term, particularly in a white state game. Also, side point, since I talked about all the other pack types, won't make this into a whole point, but always open Spectrals. There's almost never a situation where you don't want to open a Spectral. Spectral packs just have too many busted things that are game winning. Deja Vu, Onk, in the right circumstances, Ectoplasm, Immolate, in the right draw, Cryptid. Like there's so many Spectrals that can just win or lose the game. So I think that's gonna be about all for this video. Let me know if you've got any, thoughts on, was it useful? Any different way I could do this format that is better? Any particular things you want to hear or learn about for future videos? Things you'd want advice on? If you got any just quick questions in the comments about strategy advice, go ahead and ask them, and I'll go ahead and just answer your comment. Or if it's anything that's interesting enough to go over in a video, then maybe we could do that as well. So thank you for watching. Appreciate you, and see you next time.